Welcome to the channel where we profile some of the most interesting people in sports and culture. Today we dive into the fascinating life of former basketball superstar Vin Baker, who went from a $100 million fortune to working in a Starbucks before his eventual recovery. Vin Baker is a former professional basketball player who enjoyed success on the court, but also struggled with substance abuse, which led to a dramatic shift in his life and career. Baker was born on November 23, 1971, in Lake Wales, Florida, and he grew up playing basketball with his siblings and friends in his hometown. Baker attended Old Saybrook High School in Connecticut, where he quickly made a name for himself as a talented basketball player. He continued his career at the University of Hartford, where he played for 4 years and became the school's all-time leading scorer with 2,238 points. Baker was drafted 8th overall in the 1993 NBA draft by the Milwaukee Bucks and went on to have a successful career in the league. During his 13-year NBA career, Baker played for several teams, including the Bucks, Seattle Supersonics, Boston Celtics, New York Knicks, and Los Angeles Clippers. He was a 4-time NBA All-Star and won a gold medal with the U.S. men's basketball team at the 2000 Sydney Olympics. He was known for his versatility on the court, his ability to play multiple positions, and his rebounding skills. During his rookie season with the Milwaukee Bucks, he averaged 15.0 points and 8.3 rebounds per game and was named to the NBA All-Rookie First Team. Despite his success on the court, Baker struggled with substance abuse throughout his career. He started drinking heavily during his time with the Milwaukee Bucks and continued to struggle with alcohol and drug addiction throughout his time in the league. His addiction ultimately led to his decline as a player, and he was released by the Boston Celtics at the end of his career. Vin Baker's struggles led him to often play under the influence of drugs and alcohol. He admitted in interviews that he sometimes showed up to games hungover or still intoxicated, which affected his performance and ultimately led to his decline as a player. Baker's addiction to drugs and alcohol really started to cause problems in his career during his time with the Seattle Supersonics in the late 1990s. He began to miss games and practices, and his performance on the court suffered. He was traded to the Boston Celtics in 2002, but his addiction continued to be a problem, and he was eventually released by the team a couple of years later. Despite his problems off the court, Baker was still a talented player and still managed a successful career in the NBA. But his demons were always going to catch up with him. Baker eventually started drinking Listerine, which has more alcohol than most beer and wine, to satisfy his addiction. Coaches and fellow players began to notice there was a problem, and he would be at games or practice smelling of alcohol. He lost nearly $1 million in one night in Las Vegas. He was given additional chances after the Celtics released him. He had a stint in New York, one in Houston, a brief stop with the Clippers before the final whistle blew on his career. He once told Forbes, "When you make choices and decisions and think that it will never end, and then you get into spending and addiction and more spending, it's a definite formula for losing. If you don't have perspective in your personal life and you don't understand what this $1 million or $15 million means, it will go. When you make choices and decisions and think that it will never end, and then you get into spending and addiction and more spending, it's a definite formula for losing." He scored only 863 points after leaving Seattle, hundreds fewer than he had in his rookie season alone. After leaving the NBA, Baker continued to struggle with substance abuse and found himself in a difficult financial situation. He lost most of the $100 million he earned during his career and was forced to file for bankruptcy in 2012. Baker's property was foreclosed and he ended up moving back into his childhood home. However, Baker was determined to turn his life around and sought help for his addiction. Baker spoke openly about this difficult period. "So many people wait for the train wreck," he said. "Like, in my situation, we wait for Vin Baker's lost money. Vin Baker's house foreclosed on. But when I get a chance to turn the story around, and I fight my butt off and get to 6.5 years sobriety, I get it. I understand what people want to hear. But the fact of the matter is, I'm here to shed light on recovery and speak to a world where sometimes people don't want to be honest." In 2013, Baker began working at a Starbucks in Rhode Island, where he found a new sense of purpose and community. He credits the job with helping him stay sober and rebuild his life. Baker eventually worked his way up to a managerial position at Starbucks and now owns his own franchise. In addition to his work at Starbucks, Baker has become an advocate for addiction recovery and has spoken publicly about his struggles with substance abuse. He also founded the Bounce Back Foundation, which supports programs that help people overcome addiction and achieve their goals. Despite the challenges, Baker remains grateful for his career in basketball and the opportunities it provided him. He sees his struggles with addiction as a chance to help others who may be going through similar challenges and is committed to using his experiences to make a positive impact on the world. Today, Baker is a vocal advocate for addiction recovery. Thanks for watching. Let me know any other interesting biographies you would like turned into a video.